world, what is up? Welcome to Behind the Wheel, the brand new show filled with new product info, tips, and stories for all you drivers and couriers driving with Uber out there. I'm your host, Matt Forte, and this is our first episode. Very exciting. And to kick things off, we have an absolutely outstanding guest. Camiel has been with Uber for almost 5 years now. Prior to Uber, she's worked with companies like Procter & Gamble, 3M, and founded a startup brand called Pepper & Wits, now known as Kindra. Presently, she's the Regional General Manager for the US and Canada Mobility Team, the head of US and Canada rides operations for Uber. And from what I understand, she actually drives for Uber as well. We'll get to that in a little bit. Please welcome to the show, the great Camiel Irving is here. Camiel, how are you doing?
Hello, Matt. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm wonderful. Thank you for asking. Nobody ever asks how I'm doing. That's great. Thank you for that. It means a ton to us to have you here on the show. It really does. So thank you so much. I know you're super busy. You made the time, and that means a great deal. So I appreciate it. I just mentioned in the intro, you are the Regional General Manager for the US and Canada Mobility Team. I am overwhelmed by the amount of work that title suggests you have to do. Give us just a quick little, what's a day in the life look like for people that don't know, like myself? What's today, Tuesday? What's Tuesday look like for Camiel in that role?
What does Tuesday look like? Well, so I do have quite a few things that I have to do in my role, but my favorite thing that I'm responsible for is working for drivers. It is the thing that I consider to be my absolute critical part of my job. So in my role, I'm responsible for growing our business, making our business bigger in the United States and Canada. And in order to do that, I have to attract and retain more drivers. I also have to bring more riders to the platform so that there can be plenty of demand so that we get trips. I'm responsible also for the financial health of our business. And in general, I touch any and all parts of our rides business in the US. And so my day-to-day can range from anything like recording a podcast to talk to drivers about what we're working on, to sitting in a meeting with our insurance partners to think through the costs and safety of the platform, to working on new products for drivers, like showing upfront destination and upfront fares.
Wow. And I have in my notes here, it says that you do all, that's just before lunch. So then you have an entire second half of the day. That's incredible. Now, you've been with Uber almost 5 years now, coming up on that. But this current role, it's been like, 10 months, 11 months or so? Is that right?
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
Happy almost anniversary. You're almost, that's so wonderful. You mentioned just a lot of amazing stuff in there. If you had to choose like the three major priorities when it comes to earners and drivers, how would you classify like your three top priorities?
Yeah, the number one priority is always safety. And so safety is top of mind for me. And I'm spending quite a lot of time with my partners thinking through ways that we can strengthen the safety toolkit that already exists in the app for drivers, and also ways that we can help earners support each other to know how to be safe on the platform. So that's a top priority. The next is making sure that earners have everything they need to get on the platform and stay on the platform. This can be anything from documents to making sure that they understand how to follow the rules of cities so that they can remain on the platform. My third priority is getting more people to be interested in earning money on the platform. It's really a great thing that we've built that allows folks to earn money who otherwise may not have been able to, or people who are just looking for flexibility in their work. And so it's a priority for me to grow the number of drivers that we have. And particularly, I'm interested in making sure that more women can see driving for Uber as an opportunity to earn money.
It's an Uber podcast. I've got to ask, you've got a favorite Uber product personally, a favorite new feature, something like that?
I love Comfort Electric. It is
okay. What about Comfort Electric?
Things that we have ever launched, in my opinion. So first of all, you have to admit, Comfort Electric is a lot of Teslas, and a lot of the cars that we have on that product get there through the partnership that we have with Hertz that allows earners to rent a car, a Tesla specifically, and drive with Uber. And I love that I can just be picked up from my front door in a sleek electric car, and I'm doing something good for the planet. And I love that earners make a little more money when they do Comfort Electric. And because the ride is so nice, I'm happy to pay a little bit more.
Yeah, it's like a win-win-win, right? It's like you get to feel a little special and fancy, but you also don't have to feel guilty about it because you, like you said, you're doing something great for the environment. You know, the earners winning on this. It's just everybody's happy. It's just like a great little thing to have happen. Let me ask you a question, personal question. First time in a Tesla, did you fumble with the door handle a a little bit? I needed someone to explain that to me. I didn't know how it worked. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So we all do that.
Interesting feature, but we have little stickers now that some of the drivers use that say push here.
Yeah, I've seen those. Those are great. Okay, 5 years we've talked about. You've almost 5 years now, half a decade. The world is a different place than it was back in 2018. In your time with Uber, what have you seen? What have you noticed change over those 5 years? What's a big change you've seen in the last 5 years?
Great question. I joined Uber in 2018, and one group of people that we listen to more than ever is earners. And I've been really impressed that we have not only listened, we've actually, made changes based on the things that they've said to us. My favorite example of that is what I was working on before I was in this job leading the whole business. And that is I was working on the launch of Upfront Fares and Upfront Destination. And, when I was at P&G, we had this phrase called a surprisingly obvious idea. And you know that an idea is good when it is surprising but obvious. And the idea that a driver would want to just have the information in front of them about the trip to be able to make an informed decision on whether or not to take it and then know how much they're going to make was surprisingly obvious. And I was so pleased to be able to bring that to the U.S.
One of the things I've heard, come up again and again so far is just the importance of servicing the needs of our earners and of our customers. What is the best? Because sometimes it can feel hard to be heard. What would you consider as the best channel or best avenue through which an earner can go to feel heard, to make sure that you guys are getting this really important feedback so you can take action? What's the best way for them to go about that?
Definitely the comment section on Instagram. No, I'm kidding.
It's so funny. That's what I was thinking of as I was asking that question, is because you see a lot of that, and it's just like you want to help. You see that, and you go, "Okay, this person needs help, but this isn't the way to do it. How do we get them?" So thank you for highlighting that.
So we have the Uber Crew program, and Uber Crew, they are great representatives for the community of earners in their cities. The way the Crew program works is Crew representatives are actually elected and voted for by participating earners in a city. And what they do is they become advocates on behalf of the earners in a particular city. And they also become consultants to us. We go to Crew now with every new driver feature and get feedback on whether or not it will work, how they would interact with it. They sort of become our focus group. And those folks, let me tell you, are very, very vocal. So if there's something that you want to see different in the app and you're an earner, the best thing you can do is find out who your crew member is and crew representative and funnel that feedback to them.
And funnel it that way.
If an earner is having like a specific problem, they should call support and we'll solve it for them.
Awesome. Thank you for like we're a show for earners. I want to make sure those little facts are highlighted so they have that information there. So when we were planning this, right, and we were talking about guests and they said Camiel's going to do it, I got so excited. I said, she's perfect guest. I'm so excited. I was completely unaware of the fact, in addition to all the amazing stuff we've talked about that you do so far, I didn't realize that you quite frequently find yourself literally behind the wheel, that you'll drive as well. That was cherry on top. I had no idea. I was blown away. Forgive my ignorance. Is that a common practice amongst the company execs, or is that unique to you? I was unaware of this entirely.
It is a common practice. Many of our execs, especially those who work on driver-related topics, drive. And I actually have made it a big initiative within my organization, US and Canada Mobility Operations. It's also a big initiative amongst the engineers who work on driver products. And then Dara, the CEO himself, he goes out about once a quarter and does trips. And let me tell you, he comes back with a ton of feedback. The teams absolutely love it.
It's amazing. Yeah, I'm sure.
There's no better way to understand how the product is working and what the experience is of our partners without getting behind the wheel and driving. And so I find it a privilege to be able to get out and do trips. I have conversations with riders. I can see things that are going well with the app and things that are going unwell. And one of the best things about Uber is that we are always going to continue to fix things as they come up and tinker things and make the experience better for our customers.
Is it like undercover boss kind of thing where you have like a cap and like a fake mustache, or do you just go out and just, you're up front?
No,
I'm Camiel.
I'm Camiel. Totally. I go to Camiel. Riders experience me in the same way they would any other driver. And, they get in the car and they'll say, "Hey, is this for Katie?" And I say, "Yes. Hi, Katie. I'm Camiel. Is this the right vehicle?" And then we go from there.
And you go from there. I'm reminded of, Walt Disney famously used to encourage all his execs to go walk the parks, experience them through the eyes of the guests, of the cast members. It's the only way to really know if what you're doing is working or not. And as someone, yourself, you've had that firsthand experience, you've seen it from like the first floor all the way up to the top. What do you think? What are you looking at that we could be doing differently or better for both our customers and our earners? Has something revealed itself through that process for you? And you're like, we're going to work on that. I want to work on that.
Yeah. Something that's really top of mind for me is the first trip experience. Like, you've gotten all your documents in, you have all green lights. It says, "I'm ready to go online." You push that button. And now it's like, oh gosh, what do I do next? And there's this map, and the map has all these numbers, and you get a ding and it says, "Oh, there's a trip." And I really commend our teams because they've done good work to make the app as intuitive as possible. But I keep pushing them to make it even easier and even more straightforward for a first time or early life driver to know what to do. Something else that we have experimented with to help us is mentoring programs. So allowing some earners who have a lot more experience to get matched with earners who are new on the platform, just to show them the ropes and help them understand, those little things that help make you successful on the platform.
Yeah. We're coming into the home stretch here. If I could, I'd talk to you for hours, but as you said in the beginning, you've got a lot to do. And so I appreciate that. I want to be respectful of your time here. Before we wrap things up, all the work you've done with Uber, you touched a little bit on your priorities and the things you're focusing on. And I think you might've mentioned a little bit of this in the beginning, but what's something you're very proud of, really proud of, one of your proudest moments that you have, that you hold dear?
I'm actually proud that we saved this business during the pandemic.
That's a good one.
When COVID hit, we had to shut off many things, and we reduced our business down to about 20%. And first of all, I'll say, I was so proud that we were able to continue to operate in many cities because there were many people who didn't have the luxury of staying at home, and we were there to provide rides to people who needed to go places. But then over the next 2 years, we worked tirelessly to make sure that our platform was safe, that we provided PPE to any driver who was interested, that we made it easier for drivers to get through the safety requirements to be able to be on the platform. It helped us eliminate a lot of the duplicative processes and junk. We cleaned up all of our support. And because of that, we have the strongest, best retained, most dedicated base of drivers in this industry. And our business is much stronger than it would have been before the pandemic, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, kudos. Absolutely. And another great call out. Last thing, speaking of work to be proud of, that I'm going to ask you before we get out of here. Outside of Uber, you do a ton of diversity, equity, and inclusion or DEI work. And I would be remiss not to ask just a little bit about just some of that and why it's so important to you and why you do find the time to do all that important work.
Great question. So one of the things that I love is I participate with a group called Pipeline Angels, and we are a group of people who are able to make investments in small businesses, and we focus on women and femme-led businesses. And that's really important to me because I was once kind of an entrepreneur, and I was grateful to have the backing of a large company. But when you are starting a business, you're taking a big risk, and it's very difficult to raise money, honestly, when you are not a white guy. And so I am working to kind of change the face of venture capital and fund the businesses that are going to change how equitable the world is. So that's really important for me. And the reason why it's important is because a person of my identity can face any number of barriers in just achieving the things that I want to achieve in life. And there were people who helped remove those barriers for me. And so it's just in my nature to turn around and do the same thing now that I'm in a position of privilege and I can make decisions that help remove barriers for others.
Amazing. When I asked you a moment ago about work that you were proud of, it's funny, you had to take a second to kind of reflect and think what? And I understand that because as an outsider, I am grateful for a lot of the work that you are doing, not just within, but outside of the company as well, in making things safer for people, making things more equitable and fair, and just generally making a dent in this world, this crazy, crazy world that we live in. Thank you just for all the stuff, all the time, the personal time you've dedicated to making things better for other people out there. I think that means a lot. And I want to take the time to highlight that when I can. So I'm going to thank you now for joining our show, but just know that that's a loaded thank you. There's a lot of things in there that I'm thanking you for, Camiel. All right.
Matt,
as we wrap things up. Thank you so much
for hosting. It was such a pleasure to chat with you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Socially, you were kind of obligated after I just threw all that love your way, but I appreciate it. Thank you so much for saying that. And sincerely, it means a lot to all of us here in the team that you took the time to hang out with me today and chat a little bit. What a way to start off the show. I can't say it enough. Thank you again. And I hope we get you back for some. Would you do it again if you could? Would you? Would you come back?
I would totally do it again. And I have to say to any earner, any driver who works with Uber who is tuned in, thank you for being on the platform, and I'm working for you every day.
All right. Well, like she said, I can't say it any better. To those out there watching, listening, thank you for being here. Be sure to subscribe to our new Earning with Uber YouTube channel. We are working on tons of unique, original, amazing content specifically made for you, and we can't wait to share all of it. Thanks again to Camiel Irving, and of course to you, our wonderful audience. I'm your host, Matt Forte, and we'll catch you next time on Behind the Wheel.